I made the joke, but what the hell's a figgy port? That's a.
It's
Is that like
it's a
fig?
dessert wine. Port
I
is
mean,
a
I know
dessert
what
wine.
port is, but I'm saying like, is that figs or
It's
is figgy?
figgy.
It's figgy.
It's
It
figgy.
doesn't
It's
help
like
me. You're just saying the
It's
same
like
word.
they,
Fig.
it's like
Consists
they get
of
figgy with
figs.
it.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
Like when I say
Okay.
smelly,
No.
that means it smells.
Oh, right.
That's an
Yeah,
adjective. So
swampy.
figgy.
It's like figgy
Understood.
pudding.
No,
That
it's like
Figgy
people
pudding.
Figgy
really
Smalls.
want for some.
Also,
Figgy
we're
Smalls.
live.
Oh, we're live.
Also, we're live. Hello, everyone. Happy
Hello.
Friday. Welcome to Let Your
Hello.
Spoiler Side Show. We are the next round of variants. We're getting ready for training, but we're just sort of in the forever lobby room here.
Yeah.
So, right up top, Alex, do that thing I like.
Dude, which
The,
thing you
the
like?
other
Okay.
thing that I
The other
like.
thing? I don't
Yes.
know. Wait,
Oh,
like
that
That
one.
thing
oh
you
that
do.
thing.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, everyone.
Spoilers for
Spoiler.
Loki and all of the MCU. It's
Yes.
all fair
All
game.
of the
Possibly
MCU.
Full House.
Possibly
And
Full House. And
Footloose. You never know.
and Ghost Hunters. I've been
Yeah,
watching.
Oh,
Ghost
like that
Hunters.
legendary
Ghost
hero, Kevin
Hunters.
Bacon.
Yes.
Is it still the best movie ever made? It never was.
Never was.
Welcome into Let Your Spoiler Side Show, everyone. We are talking Loki Episode 3, Loki Episode 1, 2, and literally everything else that is canonical MCU. So,
Except
if
for
you-
like 4 and
Let's
5 and
clarify.
6, maybe.
We are not going to talk about every single thing in the MCU. We're just saying it's all on the table. It's all fair game.
then what am I
Oh,
doing?
will
tonight?
not-
yeah, exactly. I quit then. Goodbye.
Why did I just watch everything on my lunch
I'm here to
break?
talk about Thor, Love and Thunder. Show up at your door like a
One.
Jehovah's Witness.
Hi, can I interest you in a knife
Some
set?
literature.
Yeah, so
Oh my
we are
gosh.
the show embodiment of the, what is it, Get Help?
Yeah.
God.
We are
Get help.
not. Welcome, everyone. Again, we are live in quite a few places. We are live on the Facebook page, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, the Let Your Geek Side Show Facebook group, and the Let Your Spoilers Side Show Facebook group, which you can join if you want to talk Loki with us. Alex, do that other thing that I like, side.show/MCU spoiler. You can join that group. Now, we update it with whatever the newest MCU show or movie is, usually about a week or two after. If there's some overlap, that's
Yeah.
just how the superhero falls
Yes.
on a particular
Off of a
planet
train.
in
We
game.
recommend that you join and leave that group as needed. So when
Yes.
you've watched an episode, join it. When it's time for the next episode to come out, leave the group until you've watched it and then join it again. We will let you back in and out multiple times.
Nice,
That
Eric.
is where we can talk about
Revolving
it.
door.
Hey, welcome. Welcome.
Welcome.
Autumn,
You
I
guys
just want to
haven't
tell you.
done spoilers for the for the X-Men animated series yet, have you? Because I'm
Are you still working your way through it?
trying.
We will be
It's all
talking
on the table.
gargoyles today.
Okay.
Dang
Just a
it.
heads up.
So Autumn gave you a very difficult and complicated way to go in and out of the group and not get spoilers. You could also turn off notifications
Yes, 100%.
Hey,
and
some people
not
would
join the
rather
group and leave the
just-
group.
because it
Sometimes
can still show up in
things
your feed.
slip through the cracks.
So the way that I do it is I'll trash my whole computer every time
Yes,
I'm not
yep.
up to date on a
Just
show.
hammer
And
to
then
the
I-
computer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
whatever you're doing, wherever you're watching, make sure to like,
We're here
subscribe, hit the
for it.
notification bell, because every time you like this video live, Casey gets another Infinity Stone. So we would
Aw.
really appreciate if you would do
Good
that for
for
us all.
That's awesome.
All
boy.
right.
But he still doesn't know what a fish is.
No, he'll figure it out.
I'm sorry. I want him to deliver that line that Pillboy had that was like, I wasn't, and then all of a sudden I was. Like
I was.
whatever that like yeah, he like where he shows up. Just like for when they ask him, like, where did you come from? Okay, so full spoilers. When they ask the TVA agents, like, where did you come from? Like
Uh-huh.
where did they steal you from? He just I was just sitting being nothing, and all of a sudden I was.
I love
Also,
him.
now apparently spoilers for the Good Place.
Yeah. Oh,
That
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that one's on you, Andrew. You knew better. So, all right. So we have a directive from
Quick-
Autumn of what we're going to
quick
do.
test. Yeah.
So
Okay.
there are 5 of us. So we are
Uh-huh.
all going to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down of how we liked
Barely
episode 3
discussed this.
of Loki.
The majority of our feeling. Where does the
Titled.
majority of the feeling lie?
Yes, titled
wanna know-
Lamentus. Is it on the good egg or
everyone-
the bad egg, like in
Yeah.
Charlie in the Chocolate Factory?
And I want everyone in the chats to participate. Just a quick your overall reaction, was it positive or negative? No mediums allowed. You're either like,
No
yes,
mediums
I liked
allowed.
it. No, I didn't.
One word
And
answers.
none of us know what the other ones are going to do.
All right. And whoever is on the outs. So if it can't be even. So if there's 2 to 3, the
Right.
people who voted who have the 2 are going to go first and give their opinions on the episode. So on 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh,
Oh!
Wait, hold on. Let me switch it up here so I can fist bump you.
There you go. Wait, other
By the way,
boom.
these, according to BTS, these are
Our
kidneys.
kidneys.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
All right,
this
so
thing-
I'm just gonna bring some. I'm gonna bring some people's opinions over here.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
Single songwriter says good egg. Leo Monahan says thumb up.
so
One
mixed.
thumb up.
I
I
have
don't know
never
what that is.
seen
That's positive?
So
Okay,
many
positive.
mixed reviews. Yes. So
I thought
many
he was.
mixed
I thought he
reviews.
was calling me out on something. Positive. A
Uh-huh.
lot of
Me-
positive in the
Me
chat.
and Andrew can
Oh, wait.
leave now, according to Tom Kelly.
Steve
Yeah.
Waterhouse
Oh, okay.
says down.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Andrew Fang says thumbs down. It's like the train run. Okay.
Okay.
Thumbs
All
up.
right.
Sean Donnelly. We have a lot of thumbs up. I want to bring on the thumbs down because
Adriana?
you're all going to be backing each other up. Mike
Yeah.
Farbo said thumbs down.
Okay.
Lizzie Rep.
I have
Red
never
negative.
seen
Wow,
such
very
a
divisive.
reaction.
Very divisive.
I love it.
Steve
So
Waterhouse, we
exciting.
said one answers, but I love the enthusiasm. We'll get to yours
Yeah.
in just a second.
All right.
Andrew, let's start with you. We'll give you
Okay.
floor 30 seconds. What didn't you like about it?
I actually want to open with the fact that I thought that there was a lot done really well in this episode.
I
But my
agree.
there was a lot that was important, that was well done, and that was meaningful to me as a viewer and an MCU fan. But my concerns about it were that I did not feel any risk or tension the entire time.
Mhm.
I don't think at any point that I felt like they were in trouble.
I agree.
Oh my gosh, I felt exactly
And
the opposite. It's
I'm,
crazy.
and so
You-
I'm gonna take your blades from you. Absolutely not. And I am going to take them and agree with that because
Mhm.
what I think this episode is setting up in that again, Alex, do the blinky thing that I like.
Spoiler.
The blinky thing.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler
right up top
alert.
here. I'm in the camp that Loki is enchanting Sylvie. So that's just where I'm putting my eggs in that basket. Okay. Now,
Writing this down
I
now.
think that everything that is happening in this episode is going to be undercut almost immediately in the next episode.
In
and
the most awesome way.
it could be, but
They
then
all
it's like
died.
No, I think
Sure.
They all died, and we get a
Good.
totally new Loki.
a totally new Loki.
So
It's just
good.
Matt Damon. Finally, Matt Damon's back.
Finally.
I just
This whole
think
thing
That's
was
Paul's
meant.
eggs in the basket.
Thank you. If that happens, I'll be so pissed because I'm like, all of that character development was just to hatch a plan.
I want to say I completely agree with Andrew and Paul in that I did not feel there was a sufficient amount of tension. However, what I feel that the episode did well, it did well enough for me to say, guys, I'm not a super critical viewer when it comes to Loki. I think I'm more critical when it comes to Thor, but this episode did show for me. I've always been in the camp of whenever people were like, Loki should get his own movie. No, he can't, because if Loki wins, it's a bad result for everybody. So I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with this, because without the TVA in this episode for an extreme portion of even though it was the shortest episode of the series so far, without that ultimate goal that he's working towards, that will I don't know what his goal is, and if he wins at this point, it does still seem like it's going to be a problem if he wins. And and I guess that's where I come in as like a Thor fan, where I'm like, he's the villain, like he's always a villain.
I think he already won.
It's
Are you in the
physically
Loki is the
painful.
timekeepers camp?
No,
Not
no. I don't think he is the timekeepers. I don't think he's. I think he's too vain to be like I'm three people. I think he's way too vain. But again, so let's go
what
to
do you mean?
Andrew.
Okay.
We have to yield our time.
We can.
I
We can
yield.
go
We
to
already
Alex
we
if
already
you want.
yelled at everyone.
I yield.
Autumn is going to die.
All right,
I'm
Autumn.
going to
Autumn,
have
you're
a
up.
TED
Let-
Talk. So if Alex wants to go next, you can.
I mean,
I'm
I
not-
have
I'm
some
gonna
notes. I
rant.
have a TED talk of my own. But you know what, Autumn? You go on your rant. I'll just come in with a yeah.
Let's hear it.
Okay. Word.
This was the
Yeah.
most amazing, most exciting, delicious, complicated, nuanced, high stakes, amazing episode. I freaking loved it. It was like watching
of buzzwords.
Inception. It was like watching
Yeah.
Inception
And
because
Dr.
it's like
All that.
this is Loki versus Loki. Loki of all the characters is the king of tricks, enchanting, illusions, all those things. So is it Loki doing an illusion for Sylvie? Is it Sylvie doing an illusion for Loki? Is it one and then the other takes over? When she fell asleep and then woke up, was it the transference of one was enchanting one and the other? If you go back and watch it, there's all these little clues and all these little nuggets of like, when you're watching, I'm sorry, spoilers for Inception. When you're watching Inception and you watch it and you're like, what the heck was that? I'm not going to say anything, but then you can go back to see if it holds up, to see what the clues were, to see what the psychology was. And so it's not only the storytelling aspect of like, is this an illusion? I think 100,000% is, but it's a matter of whose illusion is it and what are they trying to accomplish? And then it's this psychology of Loki versus Loki, digging into each other's psyches, digging into each other's motivations. And there's like, the stakes are very high. I was so into it.
In the bunker, when they go into the bunker and he's like, what are you doing? Yeah. And she's like, yeah, this usually works, kind of deal. That could be the moment that she kind of serviced his ego and let him think that he
says, I'm too smart for that. Huge red flag that she just goes, oh, okay. And then there's all these other moments where there's physical contact or little moments, or little bits of green, or she wakes up like, oh, what was that? It's delicious. I could be totally wrong, but it was amazing. So much fun to watch. So much fun.
And we have so much episode to get into. We've literally just started. Yeah. All we've done so far is yell at each other.
I know.
So,
I haven't yelled at anyone, by the way.
I'm going to mute myself because otherwise I will not shut up.
But I have a rebuttal as to why I don't think Sylvie is manipulating him.
Okay.
Because if so, that means that this whole thing is happening on Lamentis 1, right? This whole memory, everything. Loki, our Loki, has no memory of Lamentis 1, and she can only go into people's brains and recreate a very detailed memory of it. So what I think might be happening is he's doing it to her, and he's slipping, because he's never done it before. So I think it's sort of slipping away from him, and he's very, very barely keeping it together.
Remember her saying she wasn't going to talk?
Like me right now.
Yeah.
Very barely keeping it together.
I think maybe after watching it the third time, because I watched it once, watched it twice, and then I skimmed through it the third time, I think she enchanted him. He figured out what the hell was going on and enchanted her back. And I think the first half is him and her enchanting him. And then when she woke up in the train, why the hell was she asleep? Why was she asleep?
Dude, do y'all ever just watch a TV show and go, that was fun? On to the next.
Okay. Literally every other property.
Company for that.
Every other property except anything Marvel or DC. Or Star Wars.
I want to jump in for a second because I watched this which is very unlike me. Like how something always annoys me. Like I just kind of sat back and I watched it, and I was telling Paul earlier, I'm like, it felt like a really awesome Doctor Who episode.
Yeah.
And I just had a good time watching it, and I did pick up on emotional aspects and psychological aspects and all the confusion of, are they enchanting each other? Are they the same person? Does Sylvie not even exist? Did he make it up and he's talking to her like a Tyler Durden thing?
Yeah.
All these things popped in my head, right? But at the same time, I was just like, I just sat and watched it and I just enjoyed it, which is very difficult for me. I always want to be annoyed. I always want to hate everything. And I just liked it, which is very difficult. Sorry, Autumn. I know you're like,
no. I was going to say it would make sense for him to then be the one that enchanted in the second half because, oh no, the device is broken. If he makes her think the device is broken. Yeah, it's like this. It's like this. They're equally matched because they're both freaking Loki. Mm-hmm. So one's not better than the other.
John Galgano and Tyler Vaughn.
It was very hooey. Yeah.
Very hooey.
I also love Autumn.
They still have that thing. Sorry,
that people are asking. They're just like, don't you guys, like Amy had said, and they're like, yeah, we agree. Don't you guys ever just watch TV? Oh, we do all the time, but we have a show to do.
So I am not a critical viewer. I just finished watching Dawson's Creek for the third time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Marvel shows are the ones that it's like I can't even begin to try to outsmart them because they have every tool at their disposal.
Yeah.
And I mean, even with the way that these shows have been incorporating original, I'm thinking how Captain Marvel had a whole fight scene to No Doubt, which I freaking loved. But this episode had Demons by Haley Kiyoko in it. And the lyrics of that are, please forgive me. I've got demons in my head trying to eat me, trying to feed me lies until I'm dead.
The other one of the songs is I have to go to the power source in the middle of town, have to catch a train. It's like, did you just write an episode around lyrics of songs?
They just copy and pasted the script into Google. They're like, give me those.
Loki is a jukebox musical. Like
nice.
Mamma Mia.
Yeah, the whole thing is him trying to pick one song.
Space opera? Okay, but guys, what? Okay, if Loki is, if no, really, if Loki is enchanting Sylvie, or it doesn't matter who's enchanting who. Why did we watch it? Why was there's 6 episodes of this show? What would be meaningful about an episode's worth of enchanting? And I guess we're on to fan theories already because I don't expect you to have answers. I don't know what either of them actually want. And
How
we're
else
halfway
would Loki
through.
battle Loki? In what other way would Loki battle Loki other than trickery?
I do want to call out Leo Monaghan is saying, well, Loki enchanted Odin. This Loki has not enchanted Odin. This Loki
No.
hasn't done anything past stealing the Tesseract.
Oh,
You have
yeah.
to remember that.
2012.
He has the capability of,
Mhm.
because he does it in his timeline later.
Yeah, with after
that
he's
was
killed
pulled
his
out of,
mother.
but
so
he
she
has
wouldn't
that
know.
capability. It's
Yeah.
been shown that he has that
He's
ability.
capable, but he's never executed.
Hold on. Now my brain just broke. Because you know how Loki always like dies in the movies? Like maybe he doesn't ever die in the movies. Maybe it's just another variant that just jumps in with parts that he's learned, and maybe he learned it here, and then he jumped into that thing and enchanted Odin. Now my brain broke. Thanks a lot,
But it doesn't-
you and Leo
No.
Monaghan.
Oh, I'm going back. What is it like?
Yes.
We have to talk
Why-
about that later. We're going to talk about that.
Ooh.
Fine, talk about it.
No,
About
no,
it. I just don't know what
no,
Loki
please.
wants. I don't know what Loki or Sylvie want
Everyone-
at
They
all.
want the same thing.
They all want to be the superior Loki who's in
I
control
don't
of
think that.
everything around them.
But they
I
already
also don't-
are.
I also don't think that. I think Sylvie has a very specific plan that she is desperately trying to
Oh,
keep
yeah, yeah.
on the rails,
Yeah.
much like this show. Hey, everyone,
But-
welcome to Let Your
yes.
Spoiler Side Show. Like, comment, subscribe wherever you are. And I think show Loki has no idea what's happening.
I think show Loki knows what he wants to do, and I do think it involves proving he's the superior Loki. But more than that, where he keeps going, overthrow the TVA. He doesn't want to overthrow the TVA to ensure that he can rule everything. He wants to overthrow the TVA to prove that he has free will, and that what Owen Wilson told him, what Mr. Mobius told him, that he has no free will, everything is predetermined, and his glorious purpose is all bunk. He wants to overcome that because he's also not had the character growth that led him to realizing he needed to sacrifice himself and make that play against
Yeah.
Thanos and die in Thor's arms. Basically, he doesn't realize that, so he's desperately. It's a nihilism thing. I mean, we had in that second episode where he's like, nothing means anything, and it was like, haha, that's funny. And we all feel that. He's desperately struggling against the idea of the fact that. And I don't think it's going to be some big mind-blowing change the MCU thing apart from a multiverse, because
Mhm.
Loki has had more character arc than most other characters in the MCU, which is
Yeah.
amazing for a villain. And again, so I think we're going to get him to a place where there's like a nice feel good, like you can kind of do whatever you want, and boom, we've opened a multiverse. But I don't think this is going to be like Loki took over the TVA and changed every timeline and whatever. I don't think.
Yeah, I
I
don't.
mean, we saw how Falcon and the Winter Soldier ended. It ended with costume changes for 3 people. Like that was it. Like, and it was like,
But you
see the next movie.
you do think that there's going to be the multiverse now.
Oh, absolutely. I
Oh,
mean, Doctor
100%.
Strange has a multiverse
Okay, so then,
of madness.
well, and I think so too. But
And
that
I also
means
think the multiverse technically already exists.
Yeah,
I think
I
that
agree.
I think the sacred timeline is just a big cover up, but the multiverse already exists. And those places where they branch off is where they're going to end up intersecting with other realities that are already out there. I mean, it's hard to think of as a person who extensively read the Marvel What Ifs, because every
Right.
single Marvel What If comic got its own Earth number. Like every single one has its own Earth number. So I just think it's like saying, oh, 616 is the only Earth. No, 616 is the one that we focus on mostly, but every other Earth already exists and has a different
Right.
number. And I think they're going to use this as the explanation for why the X-Men haven't been around and the Fantastic Four and stuff like that. But I'm of the belief that the sacred timeline is, yes, one that is being highly manipulated, carefully pruned, but the other ones already exist. I mean, we're getting the What If animated show too.
do you guys think that the TVA, or not the TVA, the timekeepers, do you think they're real? I don't think they're there.
Oh, we had this
Oh,
conversation.
did you? Okay, I missed
Yeah.
it.
So, in short,
But
and
no.
again, I can let everyone else. I think that they either are or were real, and they are either incapacitated or they are dead. And hence, sort of playing into my theory from last week, in that, like Autumn had said, that everyone is just everyone is already a variant that has just been maybe taken from places before the reset. I think the reason that they are keeping people is because the timekeepers can no longer make other Mobiuses because they are either dead or they're gone, and so they have to have these people. And Sylvie knows this and is sort of resetting everyone back to where they should be, and sort of just letting the multiverse slip into madness as it should be, because the way that it's working now isn't.
Because what happened when Doctor Strange saw all of those futures? He said there was only one where they win, but he saw a bunch of futures before the TVA presumably pruned them.
I want to come back to Lizzie's, but this is an interesting guess that Leo has said, that a Loki has already taken over.
That's what I think.
And that's why the Loki variants are prioritized for elimination, because he doesn't want the competition.
14 million possibilities he saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that's
See,
14 million
I wonder
Loki.
if he ran it like an algorithm in just our universe and just saw, 14 million different ways that this could go, or 14 million dimensions.
Right.
So
Yeah, because
Well-
then that would mean that the sacred timeline was the one that was always meant to happen, which it is what they said. They said that was permitted
Yeah.
when everyone's like, oh, well, what about Cap? But that would be interesting if he was seeing variations on the one timeline or if he was seeing the other timelines.
Well, I think that there's a difference between multiverse and timeline, or different
Right.
like dimensions or worlds.
Yeah, that's what I
and
think Marvel
timelines,
needs
right?
to,
Yeah.
needs to
Okay.
clarify.
yeah.
Yeah, because like
Um,
the Dark Dimension was where Doctor Strange went to fight Dormammu, and that was a thing that existed and was fine, and he could traverse, and the mirror
Yeah.
dimension and stuff too. So yeah, they do
Yeah.
have a distinction between dimensions and realities, I guess.
Yeah.
To answer Lizzie's question, it's because it's established that Loki can change gender, and so in that timeline that Sylvie exists, this would be something where Loki at some point
Right.
had changed
Right.
gender.
Yeah, so Lizzie Rip asks everyone, so variants are supposed to be people who varied from the sacred timelines. If that's true, then how does Sylvie exist? I mean, she's completely different from Loki.
She's
again,
not really.
In the multiverse, like, just it's sort of like a bubble theory. Like, is it wherein once one thing happens, if you go left or right, you go left in another dimension. The right path is created. I think that's
Yeah.
very similar to how, if I remember correctly, Marvel sets up their multiverse, where like DC sets up, it's all together just vibrating at different frequencies. So that's how like the Flash goes from different places. Where I believe Marvel is more like a bubble theory from my comic understanding. So
yeah, the what
that's
if
true-
comics specifically go, hey, remember when like I'll just use my favorite example is when Jane Foster found the hammer of Thor. They went, hey, remember how this went? And Don Blake got his hammer back. Well, on Earth 1027, I think, or there's like a couple other numbers in there. This is how it went differently, and so Don Blake never finds it, and Jane Foster
Right.
falls down the hill, finds the hammer,
Mhm.
and all that, and then they
Yeah.
do like, but each one gets assigned its own Earth because it is created after a different
Right.
thing happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I think to answer Lizzie's question, we don't have an answer, obviously. We're
Yeah.
in the same boat as you are. But the idea is that the multiverse or a different dimension is created because at some point in the vastness of time and space, a different decision was made and it sort of branched off, and
Yeah.
the sacred timeline that we know of whatever's happened in the MCU carried on, and then in Sylvie's other path, it also carried on. And essentially what's happening is they are pruning those other places to have one shared timeline. And what Sylvie did at the end of the second episode is essentially drop all those reset charges into various apocalypses for a reason that we don't know why. And also, playing into that is why I think Loki very purposely went to Lamentis 1. Because that was, according to him, like a level 1 apocalypse. She said this is the biggest apocalypse. And
Yeah.
being there, they can hide from the TVA, easiest, I'd say, because the TVA can't find them in an apocalypse scenario, because it's already going to be done.
So
Yeah.
Leo
Leo's got-
Monaghan has a theory that says she may have been a child when a Nexus event occurred, possibly in Asgard, and witnessed the TVA agents showing up to reset things, and somehow managed to get out of the range of the reset charge.
Yeah, so I'm
Okay.
really interested in that idea, and I've been thinking the whole time how interesting it is that Sylvie wasn't necessarily the reason that that her timeline was a variant timeline. She's just the byproduct of it, because it sounds like she wasn't raised by Odin and Freya the same way. You know, the way that she talked about her upbringing. It's interesting to me that a variant could be just the remnant of someone else's decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes Sylvie a lot more interesting to me.
Because then technically wouldn't obviously Loki is a variant because he went into some other place, but in the instance, let's go all the way back to the first episode, when he ends up in the Mongolian desert, those 3 or 4 people who I don't remember how many there were, that he talked to, immediately become variants by exposure to him, because they are now meeting a person who should not exist. And that's how that's why the thing tracks at a steady rate. And there's a point where they can't get it back, because it's like Pandemic. It's like the game Pandemic.
There's
and
too
like
many people.
I'm sorry to bring in an example like that, but like too many exposures, you're all variants now suddenly, and then you've got a whole different Earth.
And if you work for the TVA, that is called job security. Because
it'd be interesting to see.
Maybe that's why they need
those
the
three.
Maybe.
If we see those 3 people that we ran into in the very first episode somewhere in the office in TVA later on, like working.
That would be so cool.
Maybe.
See, I thought
They're not charges. They're automatic suits. They're like they just explode and then
it just
suits
brings
on people.
resetting them is putting them at a desk in a cubicle.
Yeah.
Andrew Fang has a question or theory. The Timekeepers created the TVA to watch over the multiverse and maintain the sacred timeline. It would defeat the purpose if they each have a TVA in each verse. That's I'm not sure if that is a theory or question. I know it's a little bit of a both. But yeah, it's
How do they access the different universes if they're only in one universe?
We've seen such a small portion of the TVA. Remember how big that settlement was out in the windows?
Allegedly.
He said it looks. He said it looks.
Oh,
fake.
you don't think?
I also don't. I don't. No.
It's a new Disney hologram technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loki
See,
said
the spider bot flipping in the background. Yeah.
Okay, I know that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Leo
says-
Monahan says. Sorry, go ahead, Autumn.
Yeah, I was going to say all the bystanders from the Ren Fair in episode 2 are potential variants and thus potential recruits for the TVA.
Well, they
'Cause
were all
also-
reset, though, weren't they?
They were.
Yeah, if the charge went far enough, I mean, it's fair to assume. But like, what happens to the people
there
who
was a question.
see the TVA agents and go like, "Hey, who are you?" Yeah, that's the other thing is we don't know how far, if it's like a temporal range, if it has something to do with the rate at which the timeline tracks, or if it's like a physical distance range.
If you think about Pompeii, they saw Loki saying all that stuff and everything like that. So, and since there was an apocalypse, it erased itself. They didn't need to reset it.
Tuli Lascano says, not going to lie, though, I may never get over how they degraded the Infinity Stones in the series. You know,
I love that so much.
I personally am of
same.
the belief, as a person who reads the comic books, the fact that something called a Norn Stone just brought Matt Murdock's imaginary twin brother to life. There are so many MacGuffins in the comic books, and I think that was a nice way to say these were the ultimate power for 10 years, 20 movies, or however many movies they had. These don't matter now. We can have more powerful things like the TVA and resetting entire timelines. I understand it upset a lot of people, and I totally get it, but even if you're reading the comics, like they just changed the fact that each Infinity Stone can depower or empower the other one and creates like an infinity loop. And the fact that like one of the Infinity Stones is now a living person in the comics. So I'm of the mind where it's like, if they say it's what it is, I just want them to tell me the story that goes along with it. So.
Tom?
Yeah, I really liked it. Actually, it felt like a moment where they really, there are a few moments, I think one in like each show so far, where I'm like, oh, that was the past MCU. We're in phase 4 now. You know, when we finally saw Sam Wilson in the Captain America suit, I was like, okay, now we're in phase 4. And that was one of the moments for me. And I loved that it was a comedy moment. I loved that it was Loki like,
there's always
like I killed people for one of these.
for one of them.
A lot of people.
Tom Kelly says, do you think Scarlet Witch's actions have anything to do with the TVA? Hard not to notice the TVA's 1950 stylings align with the initial look of the Westview anomaly.
Interesting.
I think it just boils down to it's been determined that the best aesthetic of all time and space is mid-century modern.
It could
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
It could be. Yeah.
Agreed.
Wait,
Yeah, because they have the ability to pull design aesthetic from
Mhm.
any time and place, and that's what they chose. And I think that's just,
I
or
think
it's
it's
just.
I think it's the perfect representation of like this is slightly out of place now. Like this is like
There's
it's
also
beautiful.
a lot
It's
of
great.
propaganda from that era, and
Mhm.
so that fits that propaganda, that cute,
Yeah.
stylized propaganda.
yeah.
So
It sounds like last week you guys talked about the fact that that big sprawling cityscape may or may not exist.
Not really.
Yeah.
It's just a theory I have in my head.
Leo,
So I want to comment on this. So Leo, the TVA agents' designations may be the first letter of their name and the number of times they've been recruited. Technically, an Easter egg debunks this because Ravonna Renslayers is A23, and she was introduced in Avengers 23.
Oh.
That's an Easter egg. I think that I mean, that's a great idea, but the fact
Could
that we have
be.
A, B, and C, like that could be a way they hit it in there, but she was specifically, like her designation is an Easter egg to the issue that Ravonna Renslayer first appeared in.
Yeah, and I like. I wonder if they'll use to give Doctor Strange back the Eye of Agamotto. Yeah.
or
it's very
and
possible.
Eye of Agamotto.
And yeah,
One of
because
them.
there are
One
like
of these.
60 of them.
It's not the
Just
original,
open the
but
vanilla envelope that's got a bunch
I
of
like
them.
that idea.
I went to the TVA and all I got back
It's like-
was this stupid time
I-
stone.
Yeah, it's like this. It's like a Louis Vuitton knockoff stone. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
But if I may, can we talk about one thing that Amy was bringing up earlier? What is time without a time stone? I don't remember if it was before the show or during the show. Something that was very noticeable during this, and I think I have a meme that sums it all up for us.
Yes,
Oh.
it was before the show.
Yes.
We
Very
missed
true.
him.
I miss Mobius so much.
Yeah.
What if his desire to be on a jet ski is a memory of his past life?
Yeah, someone said he's a variant from the 1990s in San Diego, and that's why the snow globe
Oh wait.
Yeah.
that she has on her
Oh.
shelf,
And then
and he's into jet skis.
What if?
Mhm.
What if
Wow.
Sylvie
Wow.
was? What if Sylvie was an employee of the TVA and then regained her memory, and that's why she went buck wild and wants to tear him down? Maybe that's like something that Owen Wilson
a-
can then do.
And why were
maybe
they
Owen Wilson-
misgendering her and saying that it was a dude Loki that they were tracking down? The first episode and first two episodes till they reveal, they say we're tracking him down because he's a Loki.
Misdirection. I don't know.
Misgendering.
I like this idea. I mean, I don't know if they'll do it, but I absolutely would watch that show 1,000%. Let's just start grabbing Lokis. Just
It's-
form a
it's-
Loki army.
it's the end game scene, but with just Loki's.
Yeah, no,
All
and
Lokis.
it's the Avengers scene where he's like, I have an army, I have a Hulk. He's like, no, I think you misunderstand. I have an army. I am an army.
I am a Hulk.
I'm an army.
He is. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I wasn't on last week's show, but when they were showing those variant Lokis, two of those were designs from the Jason Aaron run that were designed by
Right.
my favorite Marvel artist of all time, Russell Dodderman, and one of them is a Hulk style Loki.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He looked really creepy in the rendering.
Yeah.
He had a small head.
Don't send me off on a Hulk tangent because I have a lot of feelings about Hulk variants.
Autumn, I still have a question for you.
Yes. Andrew from work.
What does Loki want?
Yeah.
I still don't know.
Loki has had all of the control, the sense of control over his own destiny stripped from him. I don't think
Yeah.
when I said he wants to be the superior Loki, I don't mean over other Lokis. I mean he wants to have that sense of control over his own fate back. And that's what's been taken from him.
Mhm.
And I think he wants that control. He wants to find out who the timekeepers are. He wants to reveal the truth of that so that he can get at the place where he is then in control of his own destiny.
Do you
I
think he
think-
would still sacrifice himself if this Loki attains, let's call it sentience, just like full autonomy? Do you think he would still end up like joining in with his own timeline where he makes those noble choices for Thor?
Yeah,
No.
I don't think
No.
he cares as much about ruling as he used to because I think he's been shown he's accepted that is a petty, meaningless, glorious purpose. But now I think this control over your own destiny is his. I could be wrong, but that's just my first feeling is that control over your own destiny and everybody having control and him gaining back his control of his destiny is his glorious purpose and, exposing. And again, I could be completely off base with this whole they're enchanting each other, but the point is I had
Right,
a
but that doesn't-
blast figuring it out and going through and trying to decide. Like, I don't care if I'm wrong. I have loved it.
So
I think Glorious Purpose is going to be that. It's going to be that Chekhov's gun of a line that comes back in the 6th episode, and he's like, "I have found my glorious purpose," and it's something heartfelt, and we're all like, "Ah, isn't that cute?" But speaking of something that comes back, if anyone has any thoughts, I don't really have any fully fledged thoughts. I just wanted to see if anyone else was noticing. So in the first episode, remember, it was very specific, like the devil bearing gifts, and we had the kablooey gum and that stained glass. So the woman in this episode calls them devils, and we obviously Sylvie's got the horns, and the idea of like a broken horn. A lot of people classically think that like halos were like horn like complete circles around things' heads, and then when the angels fell from heaven, they had the mismatched horns. Anyways, what do we think of? Was that just a casual like, oh, you guys are devils, or like, is there something that's going to come back up with that devil and that depiction that everybody was so sure was Mephisto as well?
No, that's coming back for sure.
Yeah,
faux show.
No,
I
that's
don't
coming
feel like
back
they
for
do
this.
anything. I don't think there's any throwaways in these
No,
shows
I-
right now. Everything
don't
is
have
has glorious
time.
purpose.
there's only 6 episodes.
We're halfway there.
That's why, like, I was here. I'm going after you guys all talking about it. It's going to the medium, but not quickly. I'm like, they need to move, because this felt like an entire episode of character development, which is wonderful.
I think this is planting a lot of seeds that are going to pay off next episode and the one after that and the one
All I'm
after
saying
that. I
is
think this
they
was,
better.
because
Okay.
why
Whole
there's a lot.
they have shown us they don't waste. I haven't seen them waste episodes yet.
Yeah,
of other
and
shows.
Specifically, it's very interesting. Tom Hiddleston recently confirmed he's not in not Ragnarok, Love and Thunder. He said,
and Thunder.
we're exploring Loki's story here, and that's not part of his story. So this isn't going to be like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where you get to the end and it's like, oh, this is a 4-hour commercial for a movie, which wasn't a
Right.
bad thing, but it didn't feel like
No.
anything changed.
Right.
So
It was just a brief therapy pause, but I love this, Leo.
Leo says Loki made a mention twice in this episode about the authorities on Lamentus, leaving all of these people to die, indicating
Previous
that he's
Loki would
developing
not have
some
cared.
empathy for others.
Yeah.
He may not. He still may not.
He
It
may
might
not-
be
I mean,
an
this
end.
is not the Loki that should care.
Never
Loki from-
trust a Loki.
From Pompeii, he didn't care. He knew, he was like, I'm going to freak these people out because they're all going to die anyways.
Yeah.
But like,
Or they're proving he's enchanting her. It's not for
Okay.
proof. It's just a.
That makes it so much worse for me, though. If it's all just enchantment games, then nothing is happening and the character development isn't real because it's all just manipulation. It's not.
Yeah, but manipulation is
Agent of
part of
Asgard.
character development.
I
mean,
understand, but it's insincere. And when I still don't know what he wants, when I still don't know what's happening, when I like,
That's
there's no
Loki.
checkpoint. There's no checkpoint where like everything's okay or I know where we're going. I'm like completely lost, and part of that's fun. Sorry, go ahead, Amy.
oh,
Ugh.
no,
I'm sorry,
I
I'm
mean, I
just
don't.
addressing. There's a side conversation happening in the chats, and I'm just going to pull them up because this is happening also. So,
My theory is for at least because they put so much emphasis on Sylvie saying the phrase enchanting, like enchanting as a type of magic, and if you're like a D&D player, there are like 8 different schools of magic. I think at the end of this, she will adopt the term enchantress, maybe, and maybe Loki gets a new title as well to distinguish her. I think she's not the classical Lady Loki that everybody thinks of, like, oh, it's Loki in Sif's body after Ragnarok kind of deal. Like, she is a female Loki, but I think she will end up more akin to Sylvie Lushton from the comics, adopting that idea of being enchantress. But yes, the horn is a callback to Ecole from Agent of Asgard and other Loki comics. There has been a Loki who had broken horns, and Agent of Asgard is a great series about a bunch of Lokis going to war with each other, and the one who ends up becoming, and spoilers for this series that's been out for 8 years, I think, he becomes what he calls himself the god of stories instead of mischief and moving forward. I mean, he's always still the god of mischief, but he becomes the god of stories, and he proves that he's more than the evil version of him. But that is an amazing series. If you guys want more Loki versus
Fantastic.
Loki action, check out. That's Al Ewing, who's a favorite of the Comics Hall, and Lee Garbett, I think, is the artist.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure it's Lee Garbett, but I'm not 100%. It's been a while since I've read that. But yeah, the horn is definitely a visual callback to the comics. But could be significant because we do see Loki with the same headpiece in that
Yeah.
shot we got of President Loki in one of the trailers, which is also a great series. That's called Vote Loki.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so-
that's why I try not to theorize when I watch these shows because I've read too many comics as
You
well.
read
I'm like,
too
well, it could be
many.
anything.
I think to very, very poorly answer that question, I think it's going to be a mixture of both. Marvel has done it the MCU specifically, I'm sorry, has sort of merged backstories and
They've
lores
gone
for
to
character
the
to
salad
sort of
bar and full with it.
yeah, and taken
Yeah.
the cherry tomatoes and the croutons before. So
Kind of like
I
what they did with
Well,
Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the
Right.
Wasp.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've done it quite a few times. I think they may be doing it again here. I think if we get the name Enchantress, I think it's something that Loki will call her, and say like that's who that is, rather than her saying like, by the way, my name is Enchantress.
Yeah, they'll be like, "We caught you, Loki," and he'll be like, "That's not Loki. That's Enchantress." Another one of those.
Amy actually
feel-good
does have the
moments.
script for episode 6, which is what.
Yeah,
so,
I'm just reading all of the closing dialogue and those heartfelt "aw" moments.
so we've gotten through the first 10 minutes of
Wow.
the episode.
Yeah, seriously.
I know.
I do want to talk about a absolutely huge scene, which is them on the train or the Ark. I'm sorry, on Lamentus. Oh, it is the train taking them to the Ark.
train
I'm
to the
sorry.
Ark. Yeah.
And that is a huge scene for a lot of reasons. Now, I'm curious to see what everyone thought about that because we got quite a few really, really interesting tidbits there. Of course, if you've been on social media, the confirmation that that Loki is canonically bisexual here. We also have that.
And Sylvie is too, technically.
Sylvie is too.
Yeah.
She didn't say no. But he says, like, in you, I suppose. I mean, who else knows her better than
Expect
him?
the same as you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I do. Amy, I like your notes. Mad Snowpiercer vibes. Hell
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Man.
Super
Yeah. In case
Snowpiercer
you
vibes.
thought Snowpiercer was too subtle,
Yeah.
here comes
But,
Loki.
Yeah.
I think my one note that
Like
I've
a
had,
train.
my one note that I've had about this show is I feel like they wrote this scene and then the entire show around it. I felt like that was the sort of the pivot moment, or that was like one of the optimal moments for this episode. I feel like so many little parts of that are going to be more dissected the more and more we go on, like Autumn was saying with
Yeah.
Inception, where you go back and after watching it and you're like, oh, was this a clue? Was this a clue? I
Yeah.
feel like that specifically, and even in the line where they're going up and he goes behind her and goes, and he changes costume, which is a really cool scene. Exactly.
There's something
Leo Monaghan
there.
said
It didn't just
Sylvie, I
happen.
can't sleep around people I don't trust. Promptly falls asleep.
That would never happen for no reason
Right.
in this show.
Okay, but if it is enchanting, then that scene doesn't hold the same weight, and that scene is my favorite. Like, just the whole, anytime that they slow down and have a conversation in this show, I think it's
Yeah.
been wonderful. The conversation
Especially around
that,
all that tension. That was such a tense conversation because of
Right.
everything you felt like was coming.
every time, like, the salad bowl conversation with Mo. Yeah, just like every time they slow
Yeah.
down and have a conversation and talk, like the therapy sessions in Falcon Winter Soldier. Like, those are the moments that I connect with a lot more. So if it's enchanting, if it's all just imaginary, then
it's
it's not
also-
there.
Well, it's not.
But it doesn't mean it's not
imaginary.
imaginary.
It's not it is real because it's their two psyches. It's their two
Yeah.
the battle of wits
That's
against
true.
each other. So it's not imaginary. Just their scenario, their
Okay.
environment that they have created, and the things that they go through
Right.
are imaginary. But their battle of wits is not.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
like a virtual chess game. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They're in like a VR headspace
And they are
playing chess
completely
against each
matched.
other.
And they are
This brought up
completely matched.
something totally tangential, and I know we want to stick
Yeah.
with this, but I know we haven't touched much on the TVA thing. When Sylvie says that she had to pull memories because she can only do
Oh, yeah,
real
yeah.
memories, pull memories from hundreds of years ago is what she says about C20.
Yeah.
What? That
Yes.
looked like yesterday.
Or like
it looked
now.
like
with
2021.
the margaritas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it could have been. It could have been. But the fact that she said it was hundreds of years ago, like,
Yeah.
So-
where did what time are they in right now? I mean, I
Yeah.
know they're 2077 in this specific instance,
is
but like,
meaningless.
what?
Yeah, she's not referring to the time that they are in on that planet. That's not what she's referring to.
But also it
So-
could be
Hundreds
what
of years ago
time
on
was
the sacred
she
timeline.
what time was
Oh,
she pulled
Is the
from?
T?
From
But it's like
TVA.
the T.
Yeah.
But she.
Time has passed
What
in
time was she
TVA.
pulled from? She would have had to have known what a margarita is. I don't know when margaritas were invented.
Yeah.
Well,
Somebody can look that up for us.
well,
But
she
like,
got it from her brain.
2006.
Is that
Thank
for
you.
sure?
No.
But she pulled it from her
If you said it
brain.
confidently enough, I would believe you. Right. So
Excuse
this
me,
woman.
2006.
No, so what I'm saying is this woman was taken at a time where she knows what margaritas are. So we're assuming it's pretty modern. The garb was pretty modern. Sylvie can only construct a memory and trick them like that with something that's in their own memory. But Sylvie said those memories came from hundreds of years ago.
Maybe Sylvie was pulled from way in the future.
Well, Sylvie said
Maybe,
it was 100
but I think it was hundreds
for
of years
Sylvie,
ago.
It could have been.
Maybe,
Well,
but
her.
remember Loki said, "Oh, that was just recently. Like I was younger then."
Yeah.
Like the Asgardians have a warped
Well,
perception of
yeah,
time.
Okay,
Also,
but what do you
Asgardians are
think, Amy? I
thousands
feel
of
like
years
you're
old,
on a
aren't they?
thesis statement here.
I was implying like, is the TVA like at the end of time? Is TVA watching ticker tape happen and existence is happening? But how do they? They can. When Marvel tries time travel, it hurts my brain because
Yeah.
technically all of time has happened for the TVA now.
Right.
This is why I told you guys I didn't want to be on this show because I would go crazy.
Oh
Yeah,
wait,
but
Netflix has
from
the
a-
She has been at the TVA hundreds of years. Yeah, maybe it was Sylvie saying hundreds of years ago, but then when is
margaritas
Sylvie
are
from?
timeless, so that's not.
Yes, they exist outside of space and
Thank
time.
you.
That's the one thing that Doctor Strange saw in all 14 million
It's not
was margaritas. A line of margaritas.
Because variant Loki, I'm sorry, the sun is creeping in on me, so I'm like disintegrating.
Uh-huh.
Variant Loki is technically from 2012 now. Like he shows
Right,
up at the TVA in 2012.
Okay.
But he's gone back and forth through so many years and stuff. But it's like, so where in time is the TVA? I get that
Might
they're
be at the very
removed
end.
from time.
Ailey
Yeah,
says
that's-
they said they don't know but we also know they're not a trustworthy
Yeah.
source.
Because they
That's
That's
showed
what
Yeah.
Owen Wilson said.
they
Mobius
showed
said that they
Loki
don't
all
know.
the way up to
is
his
what
death.
he's been told. Yeah.
All right.
So
well, I don't
obvious-
trust Ravonna Renslayer. I think
No.
she's one-on-one with Kang the Conqueror. That's my
I
thought.
agree. Hmm.
But-
John
Oh,
says
do you really?
it's possible that time has essentially stopped in the TVA, so it's hundreds of years from her perspective, and there is
Right.
like time isn't passing in the
Yeah,
TVA.
I was getting the
Ooh, like that
removed
Black
from
Mirror
time
episode.
vibe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, my least favorite because it's so scary. Anyways,
I-
that's it. I won't bring up that one. Let's finish the episode. The train.
Yeah. So I thought that was a
Andrew has a question. Where do all those people that get the stick go? There was one of
Oh.
the videos I watched where they theorized that put the person back.
mhm.
It's like the Matrix. It was like pulling him out of the Matrix.
Well, they
Because it
call
made
it
that
yeah,
reset.
digital
when Neo
sound.
gets plugged in.
Yeah, because it made
You
that
don't think
same
it just kills
sound.
him?
No,
It
they
could.
said
Yeah,
it's
we don't think it's like
resetting.
the melt stick.
The
Like
word they
the
used
idea.
Don't
Oh.
touch
is
the
reset.
Why do you always go to the melt stick?
So one of the videos I watched theorized that the reason why Sylvie's face was so satisfied when she did that was because in her mind she's rescuing this person. She's getting them
She's
out
putting
of this
them back
matrix.
to their
She put them back.
That's a really
She
cool
freed
idea.
them from the,
Okay,
the
but Hunter-
mind.
So Hunter
Whatever.
B15 is all like, we need to reset Loki. Because I know there's pruning and there's resetting. It's like, oh, we
Yeah.
need to reset this Loki.
I think
Putting him back
resetting
in his
is
timeline
wiping
so
their.
he could just
No.
call.
I think resetting is wiping their memory and putting them to work in the TVA. That's what
I
I
think
think.
so.
resetting
Yeah.
Is that what you
Yeah.
think? I think
Sort
it's
of resetting
them
the
and putting
mental
them.
clock on them. Yeah.
putting
thought it
them
was
Jokes on
resetting
them.
their
They got
mental
him to work for. They got him to work for them without wiping his brain.
Right.
Yeah.
No, see, I think
Oh,
it's
man.
resetting them and putting them back to where they were taken from.
Yeah.
But why
But they're
do that?
variants.
Because there's the
How
risk
could they go
of,
back?
Yeah, they
There's
don't
the
want to
risk
move them
of-
back.
There's a risk of.
I think resetting them.
Everything they do is a risk.
No, but they
Well,
don't. The whole thing is the whole point
life
is
is
they pull
risk.
people out. Why would they put them back? They pull them out of that timeline because they
And
don't
reset
want them
them
doing
and
that.
put them back to work. But the
I don't
most
know.
important question coming out of the show is
Yeah.
What is love?
Dagger.
Dagger.
yeah, I absolutely loved all of these memes
That's
that come
called-
out of these.
Intertextuality, folks.
Yes.
Oh,
When
big
you
words.
create memes from across. Oh, it's so good. I love that.
Like
Oh,
if you've never
okay.
seen an MCU like show at all, you know how confused you'd be.
Steve says he thinks it's just removing them from existence completely, which is what we've been led to believe from the beginning, that they're
Right.
just erased from existence. So that's very possible.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll get an answer about it.
I
if
love
I'm being
that we don't
completely
know.
honest.
Yeah.
If we do get an answer, I hope it's delivered by Tara Strong. Well, hi there.
Well,
Howdy.
It seems like you've screwed
No.
up the timeline. We can't
seems like
kill
you've
you
got
now.
questions.
Yeah.
Well,
We're all gonna get reset after this for asking too many questions.
We actually
That's fine.
should wrap it up soon because last time we had a 1-minute dash to get to that sideshow show because Paul and I have a place to go.
and then you
Wow, we
spoiled things
really
there.
didn't talk
And
about
I
that.
And then Autumn
was-
spoil shows
I
there.
was so bad. Oh my gosh, I just spoiled stuff.
Ah.
Can we talk about love real quick?
Anthony Barrera says he's
let's
out of
talk
line,
about
but he's
love.
not wrong.
I
Let's talk
think
about love.
I
Alex.
think the only person that Loki could fall in love with is himself.
Yeah, I'm very into himself.
I
Very
was
different.
so uncomfortable every time that like there was any. I hated that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
But I just
interesting.
think to myself, like, who could
It's
Loki
like, they're
love
not- they're
except for
not
himself?
related. They are each
Mhm.
other. They're not like
Yeah.
their brother and sister or mother and son or anything.
I didn't like
that.
it.
They're-
Listen,
They
I
are-
get Amy and Andrew, I get your faces that you're making, and I feel I'm making that face inside too. But when I think about who would Loki fall in love with, I'm like,
I'm good with it.
Why do
He
they
just-
need? Why do they
It's
need that?
perfect. He's the most
because
arrogant.
it was a conversation they had. Which, listen, I don't need romantic subplots either. I'm
I
just
don't
saying
need
it's
it.
a conversation they had
Like,
in
if
the
you're gonna
show
do
about
it.
love.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And if he's gonna fall in love, I think he's gonna fall in love with himself. That's just me. That's just me.
Okay, but why not Owen Wilson?
You
Why not
could
Owen
also-
Wilson?
Tell
You
me
know-
what.
you know
that's-
he-
Married to the
Lo-
sea.
They're both. they can both shapeshift.
His life,
You know,
his love, and his lady.
Mhm.
always be one of them. Where'd he go? One of them can always be Owen Wilson.
Uh-huh.
Perfect. That's all I need.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm
Were there
glad
any
about
other
it.
things that we just absolutely didn't cover?
We
I
didn't even
mean,
touch on the very last 7 minutes of the episode where everything's crumbling on
Like the Dormammu fight.
Shuru.
Sharu.
Sharu. So
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, I didn't find much to talk about that. It's just like, okay,
It
you
was
know,
too,
I-
much,
that was
way
it.
too much.
Yeah,
for
because
me.
you think that they're just going to get out of it, right? Because there's no like tension
So-
or risk or problems that are in
No,
the
I
show.
didn't think they were gonna. I knew they were gonna fail. Like I felt like they were gonna fail.
Yeah,
because
of course, but they'll be fine.
But
Yeah,
they're also
so-
not even really there.
yeah. So a few things
What's
happening.
the point, young Goodman Brown?
If Sylvie is the one running the show,
Oh.
then she just says, "Well,
Derek
um,
says Mobius knows. He's gonna go grab him.
he's gonna have to do something."
Yeah.
Because it's not like they're giving off the energy because they are on Lamentus. They are in an apocalypse scenario, so TVA can't read it allegedly. My question is like
and Mobius
if,
knows about the apocalypse stuff.
if no one is enchanting anyone and this is all actually happening, which I think is very unlikely, how do they get out of that? I think.
Thank you, Eric. He's gonna hold the fort for us over at that sideshow show.
Thanks,
And we'll
Eric.
yeah.
But I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm still not in love
But
with
you're
this
not
episode,
there.
but I'm not fully down anymore.
But it's
Just
it's
for
so
funsies,
hard because
go
we've
back
never.
and watch it and pretend to just go with the idea that they are enchanting each other, and at some
Mhm.
point in the story, it changes who's enchanting who. Just I could be 100% wrong, and I probably am, but watch it with that theory,
It's
and
like
it's
the
fun.
card trick.
Paul,
It's
you
fun,
read comics. You know
exactly.
how. I mean, Marvel has never before asked us to be so patient with such heavy
I-
storylines. But you're a monthly
Yeah.
comics reader. You know how this works, man.
I know the pain already. That's why I'm so upset. I
Yeah, they
watched.
keep doing this to you.
I know. One last job.
Just when I
I-
thought I was out.
So I
getting
saw.
too old
I,
for this.
Tom Kelly said everyone who gets zapped with the stick is sent to the church in the Lost finale.
Spoilers for
Spoilers
Lost.
Spoilers for Lost.
Lost. I'm so sorry.
I do want to say though, my
you have
biggest
to have
theory.
watched everything that was ever made to watch this show.
My biggest theory for this entire week is that Marvel is going to sell us power chargers that look like the Tempad because you should always have a power charger, which is the whole plot of this flippin' episode.
Mhm. Mhm.
Big commercial
why
for
they-
power banks.
another 6
There's
episode
a
advertisement.
commercial for Change Machine. I have that right here. Did you?
They've
wanna-
made it. They made a ride at Disneyland that you can and should probably pay $60 to do slightly better at.
Autumn.
What?
Justice League, the Snyder
The
Cut had
Spider-Man
the change
game has-
machine.
Spider-Man
It's
game
called the
has
Change Machine.
pay to
I
play.
think.
The change machine.
Jeez. I think.
Anyways, bring a power
one
charger.
of the one of the more interesting things that I think Sylvie had also mentioned was that she's in a relationship with a postman. She says.
That's
Or s-
Stanley. It's Stanley. It's Stanley. Because he's a
Hey,
postman.
wait a minute, Mr. Postman.
I mean, I just thought that was her being facetious, but I
Yeah,
dig
and
that
in
concept
X-Men.
of a.
In X-Men, he was a delivery man.
What's he?
Love it.
So in a
Is it-
different multiverse.
Well, I
He
thought
was
it was
also chilling out with the Watchers.
bragging about. He's like, and I delivered the
Yeah.
post.
Also, Paul, we
Ah.
have to go.
Yeah, we have to go.
All right, you have to
So,
go.
Okay.
we have if you want to keep this conversation rolling like we do, head on over to side.show/MCU spoiler. Don't watch the next show. Watch the next show, but don't watch the next show for spoilers because Autumn will not be spoiling it
I am
on that
going
show.
to get it out of my system in the next 6 minutes.
Autumn,
there will
yeah,
be no
just-
spoilers in that sideshow show.
Leave
Maybe
it
you should
now.
come hang out with us just to like shut me up.
Oh, you want me to keep it?
We're going
on
to be
the
talking
rails?
about maybe we can even talk about something that I just started watching. Well, is that enticing enough?
That yes, I think
Amy,
you should.
do you know what he just started watching?
Yes.
I know you just started.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you all so much. We'll see you in just about 5 minutes for another episode of That Sideshow Show. Andrew, Amy, Autumn, and Alex, thank you so much for
I
joining.
apologize for all of this.
So, and thank you to all of you
your mood
still
in
watching. Everyone on YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, multiple Facebooks. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Give
Yes.
Casey all of the Infinity Stones. That guy's got a lot of paper
Yes.
that he needs weighted down.
Yes.
Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful weekend. I hope to see you in a few minutes exclusively in the group. If not, be safe, have fun, and as always, don't forget to let your geek side
This
show.
was all a dream.
It was all a